Hello and welcome to... Wait a minute. Okay. That's it. No more bandage. My hand is feeling better. It's been feeling better for quite a few days. So I kept the bandage on just to make sure that I didn't use this hand as much. I'm going to continue to do Inktober with my left hand. But in all honesty, my right hand is now feeling fine. So, welcome to Simon Says Artwork. This video will be Inktober 11, learning to draw with my left hand. And I'm thinking that since the last video was something quite abstract, Inktober 10 was the one where I scribbled, and then I used a 0.8 nib for the scribbly part, and then I used a brush pen for the parts afterwards where I block in certain sections. So I'm thinking with this one I'm going to try and do something a little bit more neat, try to hone the control of this hand doing hatching certain lines and see how well it goes. So okay, let's get started. Okay, so installment number 11, and my intention was to try to make this really clean, just showing how good my fingers are working there. They were honestly so injured for some reason, but anyway, so I start off with my left hand I continue with my left hand, but I start off by trying to do fairly clean marks, and where they're not clean I go back over the lines, create that as a dark black shadow puddle, a kind of bit of shape design, and then I accompany it with a bit of contoured hatching. I did have in my head to create something like a jellyfish, and it is kind of like that, but it's not me drawing a jellyfish, it's me trying to make a load of marks come together to make something interesting. It's more unified as a kind of design, and something which could hopefully be interpreted several ways. But I've got to confess, this is something where I didn't really follow through with this as much as I should have done. Now, I don't hate it. I still look at this and I think, parts of this are quite nice, and I am trying to stay positive about things where I think I've fallen short a little, and this is definitely one where I've fallen short a little. So it was more of a rush job to try and create something which would be decent enough to be an Inktober installment, and I think this is definitely my weakest installment so far. And you may disagree, I don't know. It was more effort than it probably looks, and it shouldn't have been. I think I'm just not giving myself enough time. Part of the problem is that throughout the day I don't feel inclined to draw necessarily unless it's for a job, and this is more enjoyment and part of a challenge, and I should really treat it like a job and try to spend a lot of time doing it. Maybe that's something that I should do, like a almost end of year resolution. Wouldn't really hurt. And I think for tomorrow, I do have an interview that I'm doing tomorrow in late morning, but I might try to spend several hours doing a drawing instead of what I do normally, which is around an hour. This one was only 40 minutes, but I don't know, sometimes spending longer doesn't necessarily mean a better drawing. Yeah, I'm so unsure about this, to be honest. It's tricky to try to say. But I spent today watching, I say, busy. I was watching a television show, a series, and I was enjoying it so much that I wanted to try and get through all of it. And at this point where I'm doing this commentary, I'm actually on the last episode, because there's a lot of waiting time in between recording videos and then finalising the editing process. So in that downtime I've got enough time to watch another episode or two. And I had this problem where my mouse, because it's a wireless mouse, it just ran out of battery and it had to be charged up, and that can take 2 hours. So I watched a couple of episodes, and normally it's, I would have uploaded the video by now. Also tonight I'm going to have to do a painting, and I won't be doing that with my left hand, but I'll be continuing Inktober with my left hand. So this is the part where I start to do little kind of, I don't know what you call them, they're not tentacles, but the kind of little wispy tails that come off of certain aquatic life. They're almost kind of stingers or kind of feelers for the organism. I just thought if I make it look kind of brain-like for the main body of the creature, and then have these things coming off, it's very jellyfish, similar to a jellyfish type of style. But seeing as though I wanted it to be clean, you can tell that these long tail-like things coming off are made of scribbles. But I thought maybe I can clean up the scribbles by having a shadow side to them with the thicker nib. And I quite liked having the tentacles coming down and then having part of the main body go behind them. I think that gave it a bit of depth and saved the drawing a little bit. But there's also, another part in a moment where I really pull it together a little bit more, because I was just struggling to envision how I could complete this. And you can see how much effort it is, because I'm wobbling the camera, which is not normal. I don't normally do this, but I think I was really exerting more effort than I should have needed to try to make this happen and work. It's a strange battle sometimes to try and get a drawing done, and it shouldn't be, because I really enjoy drawing, but I don't know, sometimes I'm just in a weird headspace, and doing Inktober can be quite the challenge just because it's drawing every day, and to try and share the drawing that you do every day is another part of the challenge, really, because you don't always draw well, and this is one of those drawings where I'm kind of not as happy with it. So I mentioned recently, I think it was in the last video actually, that no, it was a couple of videos ago, it was the one where I did the line drawing and it was all wobbly, but I didn't do any shading or any hatching. And I mentioned how someone had mentioned years ago in a podcast that bad drawing is hidden by hatching, and I wanted to not do that in the drawing which I uploaded 2 days ago. Whereas in this video I do exactly that. I think, right, this is such a weak image, I need to try and strengthen it by showing where the light source is and doing a lot of hatching. I don't know if this is necessarily what the person meant. I think what they meant by the hatching is that you can hatch all over something sometimes and it will try to hide how poor the drawing is, whereas in this case it is doing that, but what I'm trying to do is use the hatching to make a halftone cover the main organism so that you can see a light source coming from the top right, and that I think really helps drawings as well, as to show a light source. So that was the intention here. But I don't know, if I would have spent a few more hours on this, then it possibly could have been good. But there we are. It's sort of mid at the moment. I think it's kind of not the worst idea, but it wasn't really what I intended it to be when I started. I think I had this intention of doing so much muscular detail, and I'm going to do something tomorrow, I think, which is going to complete the idea that I failed to do in this one. Which is not a jellyfish that I'm going to do tomorrow, because that was part of the inspiration for this one, but I'm going to do something where I I just didn't. I knew to abandon the initial thought that I had before starting this drawing. I say I knew to abandon it. I just knew it wasn't going as I wanted it to. Now, curiously, the biggest wobble on the table and for the camera is where I'm doing this dark shadow outline on the little feelers and tail bits that come off here, which is strange because I wouldn't have thought this was the most pressure and vibration caused by the drawing, but it's obviously a lot of I don't know, tension that I have in my hands and in my fingers when I'm trying to do this part, and it's not necessary. It's going to be dark marks anyway. I could have achieved this much easier with a brush pen, but I think because I decided to use this nib, I continued with it, and then it was just strangely, I don't know, it was a bit of a battle. The curious thing is, for me, I can always remember what I was listening to when I was drawing. So I was listening to partly kind of news coverage for part of this drawing, and for another part it was a podcast clip. And I quite like some of the clips more than some podcasts that I don't even listen to. I'll watch the clips. Anyway, so that's where I got to for the drawing. That's it done. Not the worst thing, but certainly not the best instalment. Could have been better. I'll try harder tomorrow. But that's where it is. Okay, that's the drawing done. Now, I must admit I was expecting something a lot neater than this. I used these two pens, which is a 0.5 nib and a 1.0 graphic nib. So the 1.0 is kind of like a bullet tip, quite a big nib, if you can see it there. And then this 0.5 is just a smaller fine liner nib. They're both quite nice. They work together quite well. I could have used them probably a lot more effectively. Well, I know a lot more effectively using my right hand. It was a bit frustrating today, I won't lie to you. It was different than the other installments. I think it's because I've been busy during the day doing other things, and doing this drawing was something which, I don't know, I don't hate it, especially looking from a distance. I quite like some of it, but I wish I would have spent more time on it. And I think I rushed a little bit, and it didn't serve the finish very well, so it's very scribbly still, and I wanted to do something a lot neater. So my intention now, excuse me, my intention now is to do something a lot more tidy and controlled, and something which is really going to improve upon my mark making with my left hand. That's the idea, and hopefully that's going to be something which, with a little bit more time invested in the practice, will come fairly easily and naturally to the mark making process. So okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, share this video with any friends or family who you think might enjoy this channel. I appreciate everyone watching, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.